Chapter 1. New Halls, New Eyes. The hallway smelt faintly of fresh wax and old paper, that strange combination of the freshly polished floors and aging textbooks stored in lockers since June. The first bell had already rung, but Alexis Reed stood just inside the main office, gripping the strap of her laptop bag and willing herself not to sweat through her favorite blouse. She'd picked it intentionally, soft cream with tiny navy dots tucked neatly into black trousers, because it made her feel competent, or at least like she might pass for someone who had her act together.
Room 108, end of the West Hall on your right. If the door sticks, jiggle it. And don't bother with the intercom, it doesn't work.
Alexis had nodded, thanked her, and now stood outside that very door, trying not to overthink her next step. Her heart thudded somewhere behind her ribs. First year teaching, first day, new town, new building, and a subject, computer science, that she already knew the principal considered a nice-to-have, not a real class. She took a breath, jiggled the handle, and stepped into her classroom. It wasn't much, just rows of clunky old desktops, one outdated projector hanging from the ceiling, and a whiteboard already stained faintly pink from a long-gone red marker. Still, it was hers. She smiled, setting her laptop on the desk and adjusting the sleeves of her blouse. A small hand-lettered nameplate sat waiting near the edge of the desk. Miss Reed. Someone must have made it for her. She was still soaking in the space when a knock sounded at the doorframe.
Hope I'm not interrupting. You look like you're planning a tech revolution.
She turned toward the voice and froze for a half a second too long. The man in the doorway was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of casual posture that said he was entirely comfortable in this building. Short brown hair, slightly tousled, with freckles scattered across his fair skin like an afterthought. Blue eyes, sharp, friendly, and entirely too observant.
Oh, hi. Not a revolution, just trying to make sense of my kingdom.
If you need a tour of the rest of the castle, I've been here a few years. Harvey Thatcher. I teach history and coach the boys' soccer team.
Alexis Reed, computer science, first year, first day.
Welcome to our humble academic empire. Survival tip number 1. Avoid the tuna salad in the cafeteria. Even the rats won't touch it. She laughed, grateful for the moment of ease. Ruby want to meet you. Biology teacher, yoga guru, unofficial welcome committee. And actually heading that way now if you want to join us for lunch.
Alexis hesitated. Part of her wanted to say no, retreat into her classroom, and reorganize the seating chart until her nerves quieted. But the other part, the louder part, knew isolation wouldn't help her anxiety, and she could use an ally or two in a school like this.
Sure, just let me grab my lunch.
They walked through the halls together, Harvey making easy small talk about teacher parking politics and the mysterious curse on the second-floor vending machine. Alexis listened, responding where she could, half of her brain still cataloging everything she saw. Trophy cases gleamed near the gym entrance, walls of framed photos, almost all athletic teams. Not a single student from the computer or science departments. As if reading her thoughts, Harvey slowed his steps.
You'll notice the decor leans sporty around here.
I did get that vibe.
She eyed a banner congratulating last year's football team for making regionals for the 3rd year in a row.
The principal's a former wrestling coach. Let's just say she's more Friday Night Lights than Silicon Valley.
I'll keep that in mind.
When they reached the staff lounge, she was greeted by the scent of overbrewed coffee and something vaguely burnt. A tall woman with wild blonde curls sat cross-legged on one of the couches, sipping from a thermos and reading from a well-worn paperback. She looked up and immediately smiled.
You must be Alexis. We've been waiting for a decent human in the tech department. I was worried we'd get another guy who only speaks in code and irony.
Nope, just me. Human confirmed.
Sit. Tell us everything. Where you're from, what you teach, your zodiac sign.
Careful, Alexis. First it's star charts, next thing you know, she's smudging your classroom with sage.
It was one time, and that room was cursed.
Alexis couldn't help the smile that tugged at her lips. Maybe this place wasn't so bad. By the time the final bell rang, Alexis had talked herself hoarse. Her students, most of them curious but unsure what exactly Intro to Computer Science was supposed to be, had kept her on her toes all day. A few asked smart questions. One kid tried to plug his phone into the back of a desktop tower like it might give him a boost. There was a lot of staring, some laughter, a few sarcastic comments, but nothing that rattled her too badly. Still, by 4 o'clock, her shoulders ached from tension and her voice was starting to rasp. She sat at her desk and let the silence settle. The soft hum of idle computers was the only sound now, and the quiet felt earned, sacred almost. She rubbed her temples and stared out the small window in the back corner of her classroom. A few students were still on the field, soccer balls arcing through the air like lazy comets under the late summer sky. She watched for a moment, eyes tracking the figure moving between them, tall, agile, tossing out instructions with a clipped accent she could hear faintly through the open window. Harvey. It was oddly calming seeing him out there, completely in his element. The way he moved, confident but not cocky, reminded her of someone who genuinely cared about his students, about doing the job well, not just showing up. She didn't realize she'd been watching him longer than she meant to until the knock came at her door again. Harvey leaned in through the half-open doorway, his t-shirt damp with sweat and his hair wind-tossed. Somehow, even slightly disheveled, he looked comfortable in his skin, like he belonged here.
Thought I saw you still in here. You survived day one.
Barely. I think one of the kids thinks HTML is a kind of energy drink.
Harvey grinned and stepped inside, glancing around.
Mind if I sit?
Be my guest.
He dropped into the seat, stretching out his long legs, and exhaled like he'd been holding in the whole day.
Honestly, you look like you had it under control.
Serious. I forgot a kid's name mid-sentence. My projector wouldn't turn on for the first 2 periods, and someone drew a tiny, very unflattering version of me on the whiteboard while my back was turned.
So basically, you had a pretty standard first day.
God, please tell me it gets easier.
Some days, yeah. Others, not so much. But you'll learn to find the good bits. The students who actually light up when they understand something. The ones who linger after class with weird questions. The coffee machine when it miraculously works.
I could get behind miraculous coffee.
There was a pause, not awkward but quiet. Like the air between them had shifted. He watched her with that curious expression again, like he was still trying to figure her out.
You seem like you've done this forever. You have that grounded vibe, like you know where all the trapdoors are.
Been here 7 years. You either learn how to navigate the chaos, or you go mad.
So what keeps you here? A town like this? A school like this?
So sometimes I ask myself the same thing. I think after my last relationship ended, I needed somewhere smaller, simpler, somewhere I could feel useful again. Coaching helps, so does teaching. History's a strange thing to fall in love with, but there's something steady about it, predictable.
You too, huh?
To what?
Getting out of something recently, trying to rebuild.
He nodded slowly, eyes searching hers. Yeah, exactly.
They sat with it, both of them letting the words settle between them like dust.
A beat passed, another. You don't talk like someone who just landed here. You talk like someone who's had to hold a lot together for a long time.
Alexis blinked, caught off guard by the quiet accuracy of it. She looked down at her hands in her lap.
I've always been the fixer, the one who keeps it all stitched up so no one else has to worry. My last relationship ended because I stopped pretending I was okay with being invisible.
Harvey didn't say anything right away. When he did, it was with a sincerity that wrapped around her like a blanket.
I'm glad you stopped pretending.
She looked up at him again, something shifting in her chest, the kind of shift that meant danger or change or both. Outside, the field lights clicked off, casting the lawn in shadow. Inside, the soft glow of the computers flickered against the walls, throwing dim shapes across their faces. It felt like something was beginning, not loudly, not with fireworks or orchestras, but in the quiet, in the shared stillness, in the way neither of them moved to leave. Finally, he rose, slow and easy, the legs of the chair scraping softly against the floor.
Same time tomorrow?
You mean lunch, or emotionally bonding over our mutual trauma?
Dealer's choice.
Smiling, then yeah, same time tomorrow.
And as he left, she found herself smiling in the empty room. Something warm buzzing in her chest. She hadn't expected to feel seen on her first day. She hadn't expected him.